Well, I still own silver. I haven't bought it yet. I told you at the time I was waiting for some kind of correction. Now, Ivan, I'm horrible at market timing, so don't ask me for the timing, but I am still waiting. I still own lots of silver.
Yeah.
I periodically buy more as gifts, but no, I plan to buy a lot more silver and gold, but mainly silver based on current prices when the right time comes. And I have no idea when the right time will be. You should ask Wall Street Silver. They know.
Oh yeah, I'm talking to them every single day. We're getting pounded right now, but we're waiting for silver prices to go up. Moving on to the stock market, could this be potentially one of the biggest storms we've seen in the markets? What's your prediction for let's say the Nasdaq? Will we see another 20-30% drop?
Well, before this is over, we're going to see the worst bear market in my lifetime and in your lifetime. In 2008 and 9, we had a bad problem because of too much debt. Ivan, since then, the debt, oh my gosh, the debt everywhere, even China has skyrocketed now. So the next bear market, when it comes, has to be the worst in my lifetime. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just giving you a few facts. And the facts are the debt has skyrocketed since the last bear market.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one quick statement. In Washington, they say, no, we won't have any more bear markets. We've solved problems. If you believe those guys, Ivan, don't listen to me.
What do you make of the sentiment in the US for the stock market? Are we at a point where people run to hard assets like precious metals?
Well, right now there's a lot of pessimism. At least I perceive that there's a lot of pessimism in the US stock market, and that usually leads to a rally. A scenario might be that something happens in Ukraine, peace comes, ceasefire, whatever, and that will cause a huge rally in the US stock market. But I would suspect that that would be the last rally. And then, I mean, because there's a lot of pessimism, that would be a surprise, good news, cause a big rally. Everybody would get excited again. Central banks would say, we don't have to worry as much. They do, but they're not very smart people. And then that would be the end. Then we would have a very, very serious bear market.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for like a hedge fund to blow up? Like what is Jim Rogers looking for to keep his eye out?
Well, that's a very good question. I would suspect, and something always happens that people are not expecting. I would suspect that if nothing else, and it works the way I said, it would just become a case of wild overexuberance and overvalue, because people would be so excited. They would say, we don't have to worry because wheat prices would go down, oil prices would go down. So people would say for a while, we don't have to worry about inflation. We don't have to worry about the central banks. The central banks would calm down, and that would cause a blow off. Often at the end of long bull markets, it ends in a big blow off. At the end of the 1990s, we had a gigantic blow off in the dot-com boom. It often ends that way. And that's what I would suspect. So we would have a big rally, wilder than even I would believe. And that would be the end.
And looking back in 2020, they spent billions and billions to stimulate the economy. And of course, there was a lot of helicopter money going out. But now we're at 40-year high inflations. In your opinion, Mr. Rogers, is Putin the cause of inflation, or is it ultimately the Fed balance sheet and money creation?
Is Putin?
Yeah. Like a lot of people. Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought you said. Which leads to a statement: when things go wrong, politicians always blame foreigners. But Ivan, this inflation started long before Mr. Putin, before anybody could spell Mr. Putin's name. No, this started long before that. It's been accelerated because the price of wheat has gone up a lot, oil has gone up a lot. But no, Mr. Putin didn't cause this. Washington, D.C. caused this.
Now, do you believe what we are seeing from the Fed is a mirage, and we're made to think that the Fed is trying to fight inflation, but their actual mandate is just keep the US dollar alive or right at the top?
Well, they have two legal, mandates by law: one to make this currency stable, and one to have good employment, full employment. That's what the law says. They don't really pay too much attention to that. As I told you, they pay attention to keeping their jobs. They think that printing this money was good for the U.S. They now think, first of all, and as you know, they said, oh, no, there's no inflation. No. First of all, I said, don't worry, we have things under control. Then they said, there's no inflation. It'll just be transitory. Ivan, I've been around long enough not to listen to these guys. I know they don't have a clue, and whatever they say is either wrong or maybe even dishonest because they're trying to keep their jobs. But to answer your question, they did start raising interest rates to some extent, but we have had the highest interest of inflation we've had in 40 years. If they're really serious about inflation, they have to kill it. They have to hit it very, very hard. In the late 70s, when we had the worst inflation in a long time, the chairman of the Federal Reserve raised interest rates in a staggering way. Short-term interest rates went over 20%.
Wow.
His name was Paul Volcker, and they told him, you must kill inflation. He did it. He knew what had to be done. Well, interest rates are nowhere near 20% now in the U.S. These guys have raised interest rates a little bit. But for the highest inflation in 40 years, raising interest rates piddling is not going to solve the problem.
Do you think they'll pivot or they'll do a pause? What's your opinion?
Well, I don't know what that means. I don't know government speak. I see you've learned government speak.
Yeah, I've been watching way too much Powell speaking. But I'm
proud of you.
Do you think they'll continue? Like, do you think they'll just say, "Oh, we're going to raise rates," but to save the stock market, they'll pause and they'll stop raising rates just to save?
Well, yes, that's what I was saying before. If there's peace, for instance, or for whatever reason, they will come along and they will do a little bit, but they will not do what's necessary. Raising interest rates a lot is necessary. They will not do that, and they will say things like, well, what we have done is taking effect, and now we can slow down. I don't think they will say we're not going to raise anymore. They would just raise by lower amounts and not as often.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about our favorite subject, silver. Do you have any price predictions for 2023?
For
2023, for next year.
Oh, 2023. I have told you, watch Wall Street Silver.
We're trying to get some opinions from you.
Well, my opinion, I am not a good market timer. I will say again, I am not buying yet. I own lots of silver. I have never sold any silver. Buying silver for many decades, so there's a lot of silver over there, but I am not buying it yet. I have no idea what will make me buy silver. If silver goes to 9, I'll buy a lot. If silver goes to 29, I'll probably buy a lot because I do expect to own a lot more silver before this is over.
So right now, the difference between gold and silver, which is a better buy in your opinion, Jim, silver or gold?
Well, in my view, and it's a simple fact, silver is down dramatically from its all-time high. Gold is down a little from its all-time high. So if I were buying today, Ivan, I would obviously buy a lot more silver than gold. And if that continues, when I start buying again, I will buy both, but I will probably buy a lot more silver than I will gold. For whatever reason, silver is a better buy now, in my view, than gold. But I own both, and I will buy more of both, especially silver.
So what are you doing? What commodities are you investing in now? Like sugar? Well, what do you think is a good pick?
Well, agriculture is the cheapest on a historic basis, but I own them all. I own energy. Oil prices are still down dramatically from their all-time high, but many things are. Sugar's down a lot. Agriculture has been a disaster for many years. I think I told you, more people in America study public relations than study agriculture.
Right.
Agriculture has been a horrible place to be. The average age of farmers in Japan is 66. The average age in America is 58. I mean,
wow.